Have you ever wondered what beauty meant 500 years ago? We often assume that certain ideals are timeless, that the standards we see today have always been celebrated. But history tells a very different story. Prepare to step into a world where everything you thought you knew about beauty is turned upside down. This is the story of a time when less was not just more, it was a mark of virtue, power, and respect. Imagine the medieval courts of Europe, filled with knights, nobles, and ladies. In this era, dominated by faith and strict social hierarchies, the ideal female form was radically different from our modern perceptions. Today, media often celebrates curves and voluptuous figures, but in the Middle Ages, the opposite was true. The most admired female body was slender, almost bourgeois, with small breasts, narrow hips, and a flattened silhouette. This wasn't just a fleeting fashion trend. It was a deeply ingrained social and moral code. So, why was this the standard? The answer lies at the intersection of religion, class, and philosophy. Medieval society was profoundly shaped by Christian teachings, which viewed the physical body with suspicion. The flesh was seen as a source of temptation, a vessel for sin that needed to be controlled and disciplined. The passions of the body were believed to corrupt the soul. Therefore, a body that showed minimal signs of physical excess was seen as a reflection of a pure and controlled spirit. A woman's body, in particular, was a battleground for these moral ideas. Curves were often associated with fertility, earthly desires, and temptation, linking them to figures like Eve, whose actions led to humanity's fall from grace. In contrast, the Virgin Mary was depicted as serene, modest, and ethereal. Fashion was designed to achieve this specific look. Wealthy women wore tight-fitting bodices, known as, and even used linen bands to bind their chests, effectively creating a flattened, more modest profile. Layers of heavy fabric further concealed the natural shape of the body, creating a silhouette that was tall, graceful, and almost two-dimensional. The high waistlines of the era also drew attention upwards, away from the hips and towards the face and neck, emphasizing a long, swan-like neck and a high, plucked forehead, which were also considered signs of great beauty. Think about the art of the period. Look at the paintings by artists like Jan van Eyck or Rogier van der Weyden. The women they depict, whether saints or noble patrons, almost always share these physical characteristics. They have slender frames, sloping shoulders, and subtly defined bodies. Their expressions are often serene and detached, reflecting the inner piety that their restrained physical form was meant to signify. Artists weren't just painting what they saw. They were painting the ideal. They were reinforcing a powerful social message. True beauty was spiritual, not physical. This beauty standard was also a powerful marker of social class. The ability to maintain such a restrained figure was a luxury. Peasant women who worked long hours in the fields often had stronger, more robust bodies out of necessity. Their physical strength was essential for survival. In contrast, a noble woman's delicate and slender form was a visible sign that she did not perform manual labor. It signaled her high status, her refined upbringing, and her life of leisure. Her body was a testament to her family's wealth and position. Furthermore, this ideal had profound implications for a woman's role in society. In a world where marriages were strategic alliances between families, a woman's reputation was her most valuable asset. A modest appearance suggested that she was virtuous, obedient, and would not bring scandal upon her husband's household. She was admired for her restraint, not for her allure. A body that did not provoke desire was considered safer, more honorable, and ultimately more valuable on the marriage market. Control over one's body was synonymous with social and moral worth. A woman who embodied this ideal was seen as a pillar of stability and honor for her entire lineage. Of course, this doesn't mean that no one in the Middle Ages appreciated a curvier figure. Popular literature and folk tales sometimes featured more sensual descriptions of women, but within the dominant culture of the church and the aristocracy, the prevailing ideal was one of restraint. The body was a text to be read, and a slender, controlled figure communicated piety, nobility, and discipline. It was a powerful form of nonverbal communication in a highly structured society. Over the centuries, these ideals would slowly begin to shift. The Renaissance brought a renewed interest in classical antiquity, celebrating the human form in a way that the Middle Ages had not. Artists like Titian and Rubens would later paint women with softer, fuller figures, reflecting a changing attitude towards the body and sensuality. The rise of a new merchant class and shifting economic structures also played a role. But for a significant period in Western history, the definition of beauty was profoundly different from our own. So, what can we learn from this forgotten chapter of beauty history? It reveals that our standards of beauty are not universal or timeless. They are constructed by the societies we live in, shaped by our beliefs, our values, our power structures, and our fears. The medieval ideal of a restrained body tells us a story about a world that valued spiritual discipline over physical expression and social order over individual desire. It's a powerful reminder that what we find beautiful is not an objective truth, but a cultural story that we tell ourselves. The standards of today will one day seem just as peculiar to future generations as the medieval standards seem to us now. If you found this exploration of history fascinating, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more deep dives into the stories that shaped our world. See you in the next one.